After my long overdue return to sim racing earlier this week, you all had one piece of valuable advice for me: stay away from Monza. Well, I survived that race, but only by the skin of my teeth, so imagine my reaction earlier today when I fired up Le Mans Ultimate to try another race in this new sim and realised I'd have to endure another 20 minutes at this Italian death trap. It's a GTE Ferrari Fixed race and I'm starting P10.
Green flag, let's go.
Oh, caught napping just a little bit there as the lights went green. The two cars in front getting a much better getaway, as does Luca Bassini to my left. Bassini starting just in front of me in P9, and it looks like there's enough room for me to move over and tuck in behind Bassini if I wanted to, but I think I'll stay where I am. The last thing I want to do is encourage weaving into T1 here at Monza. I avoided the carnage by the skin of my teeth last time, and it looks like I've done the same again because there was a big wreck in the rear view mirror. I saw at least one car sideways, Vitaly Kazakov I think it was, and that caused a massive roadblock. In fact, it looks like only one car got through. Giovanni Bruni is in 11th, 0.8 of a second behind, but after that there is a gap of more than 4 seconds. So just like in my Assetto Corsa Competizione race on Monday, I have survived turn 1 at Monza, but if there's one lesson to be learned from that ACC race, it's not to get complacent, because that one went downhill drastically on lap 2, so I've got to keep my wits about me here, particularly with Bruni breathing down my neck. He had a sniff up the inside into Lesmo 1 a couple of corners ago. Thankfully he didn't follow through with it. There wasn't really room for him to get through, but yeah, I've got to keep one eye in front of me and one eye behind here. Bruni certainly looks like he's got a bit of pace about him. Hopefully he won't try a lunge up the inside into Ascari. Oh, I think he is going to. There's contact. I almost lose the rear. Oh, that was a bit too close for comfort, and it's completely messed up my rhythm going through Ascari. I've got no choice now but to defend coming down this back straight on the approach to the Parabolica. Bruni is clearly carrying much more speed, but he's going to have to go the long way round if he wants to take this 10th position from me. Oh, he has gone the long way round, and he closes the door firmly shut in front of me. Well, there wasn't much room left there. Bruni on a charge. He's up to 10th. I'm down to 11th. But the most important thing is I've survived lap 1 unscathed. Let's check out a replay of turn 1. Now, that's me in the white and green occupying the inside line, but we're watching the black and orange Ferrari driven by Vitaly Kazakov, because he gets tagged from behind by Radovan Azat, spins around and sends 4 or 5 cars out into the gravel there. And then at the end of the lap, I had a big fright coming into Ascari. Bruni trying to move up the inside. It was late. On board with Bruni now. I mean, I did brake a touch earlier than I normally would due to the cars in front. That may have caught Bruni out, but oh, that was so close to both of us ending up in the barrier. Ultimately though, Bruni did take the position at the end of the back straight. To be honest, I'm not too worried about that. I think I'll feel safer having Bruni in front of me rather than behind me. Right, back to the live action then at the start of lap 2. And there's 5 or 6 cars bunched together right in front of me. I'm trying to stick with them, but I almost lose the rear getting on the gas out of T1. And that has allowed that pack to make a break for it, but they're all so close together. They're bound to slow each other down, so I should be able to catch up with them fairly quickly here, particularly with Bruni holding up the rear. We've seen how aggressively he's driving, and in fact he's just ploughed into the back of one of them, and it's Luca Bassini by the looks of it. 2 other cars forced to take to the runoff area. They've both got back on in front of me, but we've lost Bassini, so I am back up into the top 10. Well, I said that I'd feel safer having Bruni in front of me rather than behind me, and this is exactly the reason why. I mean, he was driving really aggressively behind me on lap 1, but he gets even closer to Bassini there. Bassini has got no chance. When I saw several cars going off, I thought I may be into profit with a few positions, but ultimately it was only the one. Right, on board with Bruni now, and he's got nowhere to go. They're too wide in front of him, and yeah, he's just not braking early enough there. He's never going to get that stopped, and he careers into the back of Luca Bassini. Right, we're returning to the live action just after reaching 1/3 race distance, and you'll see I'm up into P9. That's because we had a disconnect for Noon Shkev. Shkev was running in P3 when he got booted from the server. So yeah, I'm up into 9th position, and it's a fairly comfortable 9th position, to be honest. Luca Bassini is nearly 1.5 seconds back in 10th, and I've got a ringside seat for the battle in front. It's Bob Julico currently occupying P7, but he's made a mistake coming out of the Parabolica, just kicking up some dust there, which is going to allow Timo Spicker the opportunity to run alongside him and challenge for that 7th position on the approach to T1. It will be interesting to see who is bravest here. It's going to be a battle of the late breakers. Spicker on the inside, Julico on the outside. Who is going to blink first? Well, Julico isn't going to surrender this position lightly, is he? He's held onto it going through the chicane. Oh, and he lights up the rear on exit, just getting a bit too greedy on the gas. That is going to give Spicker another opportunity. This time Julico's going defensive. I don't think he's got any other option, to be honest. Once again, they're side by side, but it does look like Spicker's got the speed advantage this time. He has moved up into 7th position. Julico down to 8th. Meanwhile, there's another big incident further in front still. That looks like Ian Maycroft. I just saw out of the corner of my eye Maycroft bouncing off the barrier. Oh, he's got real damage here. I was in two minds about whether it was safe to go around the outside because that car was all over the place, but we've got past him and we're up into P8. Well, what on earth happened to Ian Maycroft? Let's check out the replay, and surprise, surprise, it is the ultra-aggressive Giovanni Bruni on his tail. Are we going to see yet more contact from behind? Yes, we are, right there. Oh, and it sends Maycroft head first into the barrier, not once, but twice. Well, on first look, it seemed to be yet more overly aggressive driving from Bruni, but when I looked at the incident again from Bruni's on board, I've actually got a bit of sympathy for him. He's very close on the rear of Maycroft here, but Maycroft gets on the brakes incredibly early, right there, even before the 200 board. Now, that's got to be at least 90 to 100 yards earlier than you'd expect someone to brake ahead of that chicane, so I can see why Bruni got caught out there. Okay, back to the live action, approaching 2/3 race distance, and we've not seen the last of Bruni. Look to pit lane. Yep, that's him entering to serve a drive-through penalty. So I am going to gain another position with 8 minutes to go. I'm up into P7. Now, I'm guessing that Bruni got given that drive-through penalty for repeated track cuts, but that only tells half the story. Look what happened when he gets back on track. It soon becomes clear that he has lost the plot. Bruni is fuming about something. I'm not quite sure what, but he is hell-bent on revenge here, missing the chicane completely. And he's got his eyes firmly set on that yellow Ferrari in front. It's Larry Spare, but I'm guessing it's a case of mistaken identity. Larry is all the way down in P16. He's been nowhere near Bruni at all this race, but he gets absolutely wiped out here. Now, I've looked at the replay file and I can see no reason at all why Bruni would want to seek revenge on Larry like this. My only guess is that Larry is driving the same livery as Ian Maycroft. So was Bruni trying to get revenge on Maycroft for that brake check a couple of laps ago and got the wrong person? Well, whatever the reason, it was very poor form from Bruni, not what we want to see at all. But enough of me playing detective. I've got my own race to concentrate on. We've still got 5 minutes to go, and I'm in with a chance of a top 6 now because I'm only 0.4 of a second behind Bob Julico. I've been steadily reeling him in over the past few laps, and he made a big mistake coming out of the Parabolica then, really wide on exit, cleared the gravel to the left, and that has allowed me to get within striking distance. Into turn 1 then, this tricky first chicane. I'm as close as I've ever been now, putting him under a bit more pressure, and he may be beginning to crack under that pressure. We saw him almost lose the rear end as we get on the gas out of the corner. So was that an early sign that Julico is beginning to feel the heat? I'm applying real pressure now. Julico is going to defend into Della Roggia, so I've got little chance of getting past him around the outside. All I can do is breathe down his neck. Meanwhile, behind, Luca Bassini is still 1.2 seconds back, but I imagine that gap may start to come down if I become embroiled in a battle with Julico. And he's a little bit sideways again, coming out of Lesmo 1 there. Yeah, Julico is definitely feeling the pressure now into Lesmo 2. He's wide on exit, he's out onto the gravel, 4 tyres on the gravel, but somehow it doesn't seem to have cost him any speed. How is that? Julico had all 4 tyres on the gravel there at one point, and if anything, it's actually gained him a 10th or 2. So yeah, I'm not really sure how that works, but I can't get bothered with it now. I've got to concentrate on closing that gap back in and challenging for this 6th position. But at the moment, yeah, the gap is 0.6 of a second. I am losing ground here. Right, jumping forward to the next lap. Lap 10, just 3 minutes left on the clock, and I'm beginning to claw back that gap that I lost on the previous lap. I know that Julico's a little bit weaker through that first chicane, so I know that I'm going to get closer as we begin the charge down to Della Roggia. Now, a lap ago here, I was almost alongside him. This time the gap is 0.3 of a second. I'm close, but I'm not close enough. We've seen him make lots of little mistakes though, so if I can apply the pressure, maybe he'll make another one. He does lock up into Della Roggia. He's missed the corner completely. He's out into the runoff area, but once again, it's a mistake that has gained him several tenths. 0.7 is the gap now. This is getting frustrating, so we're going to jump forward to the end of lap 10. Once again, I've reeled him back in. 0.7 has become 0.3, and he's overcooked it into Ascari. He's completely out of shape. This is surely my opportunity. I was much smoother through that section. Now, I'm guessing that he's going to stick to that defensive line, so I need to move out wide. I've certainly got the pace to pull alongside him. Have I got the pace to get past him? I'm going to have to do it the hard way, around the outside into the Parabolica. I'm later on the brakes, and I have got the job done. I wonder if Julico just backed out of that one. Maybe he didn't fancy a two-wide battle through the Parabolica. But yeah, really happy with this overtake. It's promoted me up into P6, and it was a big mistake going into Ascari from Julico. He ran in way too hot. He's out into the runoff area in the middle. He clips the curb on the outside. That's going to cost him speed. Finally, a mistake that costs him speed instead of giving him an advantage. Well, yeah, I felt like I thoroughly deserved this 6th position. I drove really smoothly, didn't make any mistakes, and made sure I was in the right place at the right time to pounce when Julico finally made a costly mistake. Approaching the finish line now to take the checkered flag in P6, 0.7 of a second ahead of Julico. So yeah, apart from the shenanigans from Giovanni Bruni, this was a really enjoyable race. Here are the classified results to confirm my top 6 finish. Having started P10, it's a gain of 4 positions, even though my fastest lap in the race, a 1:49.9, was quite a bit slower than my qualifying pace. But as you all said after my ACC race the other day here at Monza, even survival is a good result on this track, so I've got to be happy to finish in 6th position. And if you haven't seen that Assetto Corsa Competizione race yet, you can check it out on screen now. It was even rougher than this one. Thank you ever so much for joining me, and I'll look forward to seeing you again on the grid very soon. Cheers for now.